Parsons, and I'm glad that you have joined us for the meditation today. And what I was going to do, just to kind of give everybody a few minutes to get here and get settled in, is first kind of do a little bit of talking about meditation and some of the goals when we do the practices. And then I'll do a guided practice. And if you want to ask any questions or anything at the end, we'll have plenty of time for that. I'm hoping to get you guys out of here by 10:30. And just because there's some people on the call and some people may watch the recording later to try to know who I am and what I'm doing, offering a meditation, I'm just going to give you a little bit of a background for me. So I'm Claire Parsons. I actually am a lawyer at Wood Lamping. I do employment, litigation, and municipal law. I also, though, am a certified meditation, yoga, and compassion teacher. I am the founder of the Brilliant Legal Mind blog, which I started back in 2020. And I am the author of 2 books, How to Be a Badass Lawyer, which you can see behind me, the green book. And then my new one, which just came out, Mommy Needs a Minute, which is a children's book about just parents having the struggle of coming up with a few minutes of quiet time to actually practice meditation. So I started teaching about 5 years ago. I've been meditating for 10 years. And so I just started teaching this, and it's been really a great part of my practice. And it's been wonderful to share this with other colleagues. But what I wanted to talk about today is just why meditation, and just a few minutes of that, can actually make a real difference. What I'm going to talk about in the meditation itself is the idea of practicing rest. So one thing I want to sort of talk about, because there may be new meditators here or listening later on, is I think that when a lot of people start meditation, they're looking for some feeling of calm and stability. And I think sometimes they get discouraged when they don't feel it right away. And what I kind of want to talk about is why that happens and what you do about it. So when you start meditating, I really think it's a little bit more like maybe the first stages of creating a garden out in your backyard or renovating a room in your house. The situation in your backyard or that room may not be what you want it to be at the outset. And at first, it might be even a little violent and disruptive when you start to go change things. You might have to rip out some walls. You might have to throw away some junk. You might have to weed and pull some stuff out of the garden to be able to make a clearing so that you can start building what you want. But once you go through that process and that difficulty, then you will have a lovely, nice, serene space that you can go rest in later on when you need it, or on nice occasions to spend with your family. And so when you start to meditate, I don't think you should expect yourself to feel perfectly calm and serene and feel like it is easy right away. What you are actually doing is building up the skills to be able to do that, and perhaps confronting some old habits and patterns that may have been creating a little bit more conflict and difficulty in your life. Some of those habits and patterns can be the tendency to judge yourself and others, whether it is necessary or helpful or not. And that's just a normal human tendency to react to things. What you may find over time is that those reactions can actually be modified and changed. And when you let go of some of them, you have less suffering and difficulty in your life. Another thing is just the tendency to rush and to push through things and to want to fight. That's going to be a big one for lawyers, because that's a lot of times what we do. But sometimes we can learn that we can actually ease back, take a moment, and we can maybe find a better way around a situation instead of forcing through it. And then I think some of the other tendencies are just a tendency to think always, right? That our minds are usually going to be going a lot. Our habits and inclinations are probably in that direction. But we can also pay a little bit more attention to our bodily experience and our emotional experience. And when we do that, when we get some comfort with that, we can learn to understand them a little better and understand better what we need. So going through this process of building the skills, of dealing with some of the initial difficulties of meditation practice, is really practicing some other skills that might benefit us in other ways. So one thing I would say though, is if you're having real difficulty in meditation, I usually encourage a very gradual approach because it can be hard and because it can be new. So one of the things we need to learn in meditation is not just awareness and focus, but also kindness to ourselves. So instead of, judging and reacting so much, we're kind of weeding that part of the garden and pulling those weeds out, and we're planting new, lovely flowers and plants. And that would include kindness and compassion. So taking your time and not punishing yourself if you can't do things exactly as you wish right away. Some of that is what we need to learn. So I'm going to do a quick practice here, and this is about practicing rest and learning to do that. So afterward, if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them. And in addition, if anyone watching this recording has questions, you can find me on LinkedIn at Claire E. Parsons, find the blog brilliantlegalmind.com, and please reach out to discuss, because I'm happy to answer questions along these lines. So what we're going to do first is what we do anytime we meditate. We want to find a comfortable and stable position. You want to sit up tall in your seat, root into the chair and allow yourself to rest. Let your feet rest on the floor. And you want to sit up tall, but you don't want to strain. The point here is to create a nice open airway for your breath to easily come in and easily go out, not necessarily to win any posture contests. I want to start by first allowing yourself to feel supported by the chair. Really let your body rest in the chair and feel that contact of the back of your body with the bottom of the chair, and then the back of the chair, and just feel that sense of weight and heaviness. And then feel your feet pressing into the floor. And feel your hands resting on your legs or the table in front of you, and let them rest effortlessly. So there's no work being done by your hands right now. So you're just sitting right now, and there is nothing for you to do. You're just sitting and you're just breathing, and there is nowhere to be but here. For the next few minutes, we're just going to be practicing rest. The first step to resting is relaxation. So I want to start by scanning quickly through your body, and I'm going to name some parts of the body. And what I want you to do is just bring your attention to those areas, and see if you notice any tension, and see if you can bring any relaxation in. So first, I want you to notice your brow and your eyes. Notice if there's any crinkling there, any tension, any pinching. Let that go if you can. Then notice your jaw and allow that area to sort of relax and open up a little bit so that you're not clenching. Notice your neck and your shoulders, and allow your shoulders to fall back and away from your ears. Notice your chest and your heart area, and just allow that breath to come in and go out. Notice if there's any restriction or holding, and see if you can let that go. And then notice your belly. The belly is a common area that we hold unconsciously. And what you want to do is allow that belly to relax and allow the breath to come in. Really invite that breath in, allow that belly to expand fully. Then notice your hips and make sure they're relaxed and you're not holding tension unconsciously in your legs. And again, bring your attention to your hands and notice how they're resting on your legs or the table in front of you. So now that we've created a place of rest for our bodies, we need to create a resting place for our minds. And we use the breath for this because the breath is always with us. And the breath is also a link between our minds and our bodies that helps us relax. So I want to take a moment to find your breath. You can focus on your breath in many areas, and I'm going to name certain areas in your body again, and I want you to notice which one just feels the strongest to you. What I want you to do here is notice the feelings of the breath in your body, not thinking about whether they're good enough, whether they're strong enough, just noticing how they feel. So bring your attention to the tip of your nose and the area around your nostrils and feel the breath coming in and feel it going out. You're likely going to feel cold air coming in and warm air going out. If you don't feel much, we will try the next one. The next place in your body that you might feel your breath is in your chest and your shoulders. And here you're probably going to feel a sensation of rising and expansion on the inhale and falling and deflation on the exhale. Just notice how that feels. Notice how strong it is. And let your attention rest there for a moment. And finally, we will also try the area of the belly, which is my personal favorite when I meditate. And here you may feel a sensation similar to the chest area, but instead of up and down, you're more likely to feel a forward and backward, almost a rocking motion as the belly expands with the breath in and then deflates and falls back almost with the breath out. And I just want you for now to pick whichever sensation is the strongest. You're not committing to it for life. You're just committing to it for the next few minutes. And just rest your attention there. Just let your attention glide along with it. And notice when you're inhaling and notice when you're exhaling. Notice the difference between the inhale and the exhale. And when I say rest the attention there, I mean allow it to settle there. You don't have to grip, you don't have to grasp. Just kind of allow the tension to kind of collect on that area and stay with it. Almost like rain running down a hill and collecting into a pool. And once your attention is resting on the breath, whether it is at your nose, your chest, or your belly, just stay with it. Let it follow the motion, a feeling of the breath wherever it's strongest. And let your attention sort of go with that breath, just like a child might go along with a swing, back and forth, in and out. If your attention doesn't do this right away, that's okay. Just watch where your attention goes. We're practicing rest right here, and some of us may need to learn how to do that. Some of us may have habits that make resting difficult. So instead of using old habits of fighting and reacting, what we're going to do instead is make a choice to practice rest. And we're going to watch the attention restfully and with kindness to ourselves. So just notice where your attention is, wherever it is, and then bring it back to that feeling of breath in your body wherever it's strongest, whether it's the nose, the chest, or the belly. With as little effort as possible, just let your attention settle on the breath and follow the inhale and exhale. and see if you can follow it in a continuous strand. See if you can watch the inhale all the way from the beginning to the end, and then watch it turn into the exhale all the way from the beginning to the end. Now, if you get distracted, it's not a problem. It's not a mistake. It's just your mind doing what minds do. When we say we practice rest, we say we notice when our mind is not wanting to rest. And we make a choice to bring in rest and to kindly return our attention back to the breath. That is exactly what it means to practice rest. So you can't do this practice wrong. We're just making a space, just taking a pause. You don't have to feel any certain way right now. The practice is simply to feel and to see what is there right now. This is how we practice rest. And this is how over time, this practice will become more natural to us, and it'll be there when we need it. So I want you to come back to your breath one final time, wherever it is strongest to you. And just let your attention rest there for a few more cycles of breath. And then I want you to scan back through your body from your brow and eyes, your jaw, your chest and shoulders, your belly, your hips, your hands. Just check in and notice how you feel now. And notice the effects of your practice. And I want you to take one final deep breath in. This time I want to make sure you fill your lungs all the way to the top. Hold it for just a minute and just feel that sensation of fullness, and then let it go. And as you begin to open your eyes, just consider how you can take this sense of rest and ease with you into the rest of your day. And when you are ready, you can open your eyes. So you guys all have video off, so I don't know if you're asleep, if you're there, if you have any questions, but if you have any questions, you can feel free to drop them in the chat, or if you want to unmute and ask them, I am happy to answer them. And if not, we actually are out of here a little bit early, which almost never happens. So we can also just take the extra 10 minutes.
Okay, I have a question for you.
Sure.
So throughout the day, I find myself, especially when I'm focusing on the computer or writing, that I'm not breathing at all.
Mm-hmm.
What are some tips? I mean, maybe it's as simple as a Post-it note, but what are some tips on reminding yourself? And I came in late, so I apologize if you said that in the beginning, but reminding yourself to breathe.
Yeah. So the technique I used actually in the meditation, where I scan quickly through the brow and eyes, the jaw, chest, belly, hips, hands. That's a practice that I call a body sweep, which is sort of a very short version of a body scan. And that's one that I kind of created for myself. So I actually use that regularly throughout the day to sort of check in and see where I am. Those places are kind of the usual suspects where you tend to hold and clench, and stress kind of likes to hide. So one approach may be to just check in, to use that practice and sort of incorporate it in your day. It is something that can take a few seconds. So it's not something that has to take a long time. And just if you notice that clenching in the belly or the chest, that might be a sign that you are not, breathing as much as you can. And you'll probably find that that might help. I would say that in terms of your computer, since that is very visually distracting, I think probably one thing is just to notice the habit, right? To notice that you have a tendency to do this like already. So that's actually a really good insight that you've even noticed that. So now the implementation would be to notice the habit and to start to change and correct it. So when you notice that you aren't breathing, sort of pay attention to what's going on and start to breathe better, right? And just be a little bit more intentional about it. If you need some physical reminders of to breathe or something like that that you put on your monitor, I think that's fine to do as well. Another thing is, I don't know if you've got like an Apple Watch, but they do have some reminders and things about breathing that you can set up on there. I don't like them. They kind of annoy me. I already meditate every day, so I don't necessarily need them. But if it helps you, you can try it out and just see if it works. Or you could set just some calendar reminders, take a breath, so things like that might work. I'd also say, like, if you're sitting a lot, maybe also incorporating a stand-up break if you don't like have a standing desk or something, because being sitting all the time, you're crunching over, you are compressing the areas in your body that are responsible for breath. So that's one reason why yoga can be so great, because you'll have those heart openers, which do all of the opposite of that. So I would also just talk about, consider the standing breaks and the movement breaks a little bit as well.
Thank you.
That's a good question, though, because a lot of people have that issue. Anything else?
Claire, thank you so much. We very much appreciate you taking the time to do this today for our Lawyers Living Well program. Claire is also a committee member, and she has been a very important asset to the committee. So we thank you for that as well. And I hope everybody has a great weekend. And if you're going to the Oaks, have fun. And we'll see you next week. Thanks so much.